differences that we had with the governor, Mr. Speaker, the bill was not accepted by the governor. But all the same, Mr. Speaker, because of the constitutional requirement that when you do not agree, you send a memorandum to the county assembly, Mr. Speaker, that act is now in place, Mr. Speaker. So, but I want to applaud the governor because he was very clear that any legislation that is going to affect or impact the people of this county positively, Mr. Speaker, is going to assent to that legislation. That is a plus for us, Mr. Speaker, especially to begin with our government, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he also said that he is going to submit to the leadership and the administration of this House, Mr. Speaker. That is a very heavy worded word. You remember, Mr. Speaker, sometimes we used to call the county executive to account in this county assembly. Some of them, Mr. Speaker, never stepped their foot in this county assembly. But the governor assured the county assembly that he's always going to submit to whatever this county assembly wants, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that, Mr. Speaker, when you were the CC then, Mr. Speaker, I don't remember of a single day that you never appeared before this county assembly. You always came, but some of your friends somehow had laxity of accounting for the funds that we did allocate to their department. But the governor gave us an assurance. I think that is a good move by His Excellency, the governor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you also said that our major role is oversight. And the oversight role of the governor, Mr. Speaker, is going to begin when he sends the list of the CECs, the CEOs, and the county secretary, Mr. Speaker. So at least, and he has assured the county assembly that the names that he's going to send to this county assembly, Mr. Speaker, meets the requirement by law. So that is what we want, Mr. Speaker, because we do not want a situation where there is push and pull between the county assembly and the county executive. So that is the assurance of this Excellency, the governor, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he also reminded you that as you leave, Mr. Speaker, you remember the interest of the members who sent you to that very important seat, Mr. Speaker. If the governor has remembered our welfare, Mr. Speaker, who are you to forget the welfare of the members? I know you promised a lot of things, Mr. Speaker, and we hope that God will give you the grace so that you make sure that each and every promise that you promised these honorable members while you are campaigning, Mr. Speaker, come to fruition, Mr. Speaker. We need those fruits. You promise, you will be held accountable for what you promise. Mr. Speaker, as I heard, Mr. Speaker, and I called the honorable member to second, there was another very important issue. The governor said, so that you do your oversight role properly, he's going to chip in some support, especially to our officers. Then I remember the office that this county assembly is paying, of course, to the people of Ainamoi through me. You only bought a chair and maybe a table and a chair, and there's no printer. So we may liaise with the governor to make sure that he provides for us the printers in our offices, the computers in our offices, the water dispensers in our offices, because that is what was very clear in his speech, that is going to assist the county assembly to equip those offices that we have at the ward level, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the greatest, also what the governor said is about the development of this county. The health care sector is at its knees as we speak today. And I was very happy when the governor touched on those issues concerning the welfare. If you go to the county referral hospital now, Mr. Speaker, you cannot even be given a Panadol. So the governor was requesting that we had more funds for healthcare system or infrastructure in our county, Mr. Speaker. And I think I want to help the honorable members. Our people are suffering. A budget to increase the county executive funds, especially on the healthcare, Mr. Speaker, we should even double, because there are no medicines in our various facilities. As we equip the county referral, Mr. Speaker, we will also leave the ward dispensaries and health centers and level 4 and level 5 hospitals, Mr. Speaker. So I think that is what touched my heart, Mr. Speaker. We need to support the governor, especially on turning around the healthcare system in our county, Mr. Speaker. I think it is in its knees, and our people are really suffering, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it was also very clear that the major work of the county assembly is representation. We will always move motions here and there, Mr. Speaker. We will be drafting statements here and there, Mr. Speaker. We will be putting petitions here and there, Mr. Speaker, because that is part of our work, Mr. Speaker. Those that will be initiating projects through public participation are the people who gave the governor an ourselves the mandate to represent them, Mr. Speaker. And I want to echo what he said. Initiators of the projects are the members of the public. Those who are going to execute the project, Mr. Speaker, of course, is the governor and his team. Ours is we will play our oversight role. As the projects progress in our various wards, we will hold those officers accountable, because that is the oversight role. And the governor was very clear that as a county assembly, you need to do your oversight roles. We will not be implementing. That should be very clear, Mr. Speaker. We will not be implementing. The implementation part is vested under the governor's office, but I can assure you, we will do our oversight with military precision, Mr. Speaker. That is the work that we have been given by our constitution. And finally, Mr. Speaker, we will always support the governor in his endeavor to make sure that our county, there was the issue of NHIF, Mr. Speaker, in his governor's speech. We need to at least give support to the population, Mr. Speaker. I remember in around 2018, we did every ward give out 400 families, but we only paid for 1 year, Mr. Speaker, and that we did assist our people for just 1 year, Mr. Speaker. So I know the governor will sit down with this team, and of course, Mr. Speaker, I know we will be having some of these sectoral committees, so that at least they plan how the NHIF will be rolled out in the entire county, Mr. Speaker. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, we support the governor. There was the issue of the bursaries, Mr. Speaker, that it has delayed, and which is true. The delayance of the bursaries, Mr. Speaker, saw some of the members here. Mr. Speaker, we have, I know in this country, I know of 2 presidents in this country. One is the Honourable William Ruto, Mr. Speaker, and another president from Chaikwa, Mr. Speaker. I know he's here courtesy because of the delayance of the bursary, and most of the members here, Mr. Speaker. I want to urge all of us, Mr. Speaker, that we should make sure that the bursaries are dispersed at the right time. Otherwise, it will be used against you come 2027. 2027 is not far, Mr. Speaker. It's around the corner. So the governor, I was very happy because I was the initiator of the Bursary Act in 2014. So when I heard the governor saying that the county assembly should support his bid so that we increase this bursary, he talked about the Kabianga Tea Farm and the Kikelian Coffee Farm. Those are the 2 facilities that we need to utilize so that whatever proceeds come from those county farms, Mr. Speaker, should be channeled directly towards the bursary kitty, Mr. Speaker. If we do that, Mr. Speaker, I can assure you that education in our county, Mr. Speaker, is going to prosper. I went to Kwale County around 2018, Mr. Speaker. Kwale County, Mr. Speaker, was the least in terms of human resource, Mr. Speaker. Most of their children were not accessing the second education. They had a kitty, Mr. Speaker, that they were sponsoring they were sponsoring every student that got marks to national school. It was the responsibility of the Kwale County government, Mr. Speaker, to sponsor those students fully. I can tell you now, Kwale County is even sponsoring 5 students every year per ward to go and pursue those those courses that we might not have in Kenya, Mr. Speaker. So they are sponsoring to go abroad. So I know the governor, if we talk towards that direction, so that at least each and every ward gets some sponsorship, Mr. Speaker, through this bursary kitty, I know our people are going to really benefit. Mr. Speaker, the issues of ECD, ECDs has always been at the heart of my campaign, Mr. Speaker. We need to build more ECDs. We need to keep those ECDs, Mr. Speaker, and that was what majored in the governor's speech. Finally, Mr. Speaker, there was the issue of mechanization. I like the idea that mechanization, especially under the multinationals, will be scaled down, Mr. Speaker. We need to sit down, Mr. Speaker, also as a county assembly. This is the thorn in the flesh. If the machines in the the multinationals, Mr. Speaker, are not scaled down, Mr. Speaker, I can tell you each one will carry a responsibility to the ballot come 2027, because that was one of the campaign strategies. I don't know whether the president that we have around the Honourable Matthew Koril also used that pledge, but I can assure you we need to sit down and see how we are going to scale down those machines at the multinationals. Otherwise, we will support the governor fully, Mr. Speaker. I want to say that as a member of County Assembly representing the great people of Inamoi, Mr. Speaker, I will always support the governor in terms of service delivery to the people. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity to call upon the Honourable Member for Kamasian, Alliance Safaricom, Mr. Speaker, to second this motion, Mr. Speaker. And thank you very much.
The Honourable Philip Rono.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for the opportunity. First, Mr. Speaker, maybe before I second the motion, Mr. Speaker, is maybe, Mr. Speaker, to congratulate each and every member who has been elected or nominated to this House, Mr. Speaker, and at the same time, to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, for being elected the third Speaker of the County Assembly of Kericho, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as I second this motion, Mr. Speaker, I also want to thank His Excellency the Governor, Mr. Speaker, for this speech, Mr. Speaker. You remember, or all of us, we had actually the Governor talking so much, and actually something that has touched me heavily, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of own source revenue, Mr. Speaker. To date, Mr. Speaker, we still receive 256 shillings as land rates from the multinationals, Mr. Speaker, which is way too far, Mr. Speaker, from the current market rates, Mr. Speaker. Even us, Bett, Mr. Speaker, we normally get actually to rent the land at a cost of 10,000 shillings, Mr. Speaker, nowadays per acre, while actually the rich multinationals are paying 256 shillings per acre per year. So in order for us, Mr. Speaker, to realize all these tools that we believe it will come to a realization later, Mr. Speaker, is to actually assist the governor by bringing in the valuation rule and add up the issues actually of the land rate, Mr. Speaker, for us to generate our own source revenue, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, based on actually the speech of the governor, the issue of revenues at our county government, Mr. Speaker. You remember that at the time, I had brought a motion, Mr. Speaker, to date, when you visit County Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker, at around 11 p.m., Mr. Speaker, you will be asked to move out. Even if you have the money in your M-Pesa, Mr. Speaker, you come out, maybe to the M-Pesas around, Mr. Speaker, for you to go and pay in cash, Mr. Speaker, while the whole country has gone digital, Mr. Speaker. So the digitization of the revenue collection in Kericho County, Mr. Speaker, is what has been actually emphasized by the governor, and I believe this one will increase even the efficiency and actually reduce this issue of handling so much cash, Mr. Speaker, that is actually very much tempting, and in the same case, Mr. Speaker, it will land so many people in problems, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on issues that has actually been touched in the governor's speech, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of our health facilities, Mr. Speaker. You remember, Mr. Speaker, me, I come from the other end of this county, Mr. Speaker, and if somebody got fracture, Mr. Speaker, you have to move him all the way from the farthest end of Kamashan to Kericho County Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker, while we have our own Kipkelian Sub-County Hospital, Mr. Speaker, that can even do, or that can even be upgraded to be doing these plasters, theaters, and the lights, Mr. Speaker. So I agree with actually the speech of the governor that we need to increase allocation to various hospitals, maybe to decongest our main referral hospital, Mr. Speaker, by improving the sub-county hospital, Mr. Speaker. I also come from an area, Mr. Speaker, that we do coffee as our main cash crop, Mr. Speaker. From the governor's speech, Mr. Speaker, you've seen he has the intention that we do a very big warehouse at Kipkeli and Coffee Mill in Fatana, Mr. Speaker, which will actually go ahead to increase the revenues to our people, Mr. Speaker. The same say, Mr. Speaker, I remember Kifuta Kibwana, His Excellency Kifuta Kibwana from Makueni County, Mr. Speaker. He built on the line of value addition. He built a very big factory that actually they are doing value addition to the milk. Then they supply to various supermarkets, Mr. Speaker, while we normally call ourselves people who are doing every dairy farming, Mr. Speaker, while we are doing no value addition to the produce or to the milk that we normally get, Mr. Speaker. So I agree with the governor for us to build maybe one flagship project. We develop milk cooling plants, Mr. Speaker, for us to do value addition to various milk that we get from the farmers, Mr. Speaker. Also, Mr. Speaker, governor has mentioned the issue of increasing maybe the money that normally a farmer gets, Mr. Speaker. You see, nowadays we sell milk at 35 shillings, Mr. Speaker. You come to the supermarket, you buy a 500 grams of milk at a higher price, more than even a liter of milk at home, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, as I conclude the issues of bursary, Mr. Speaker, I'm one of those people, Mr. Speaker, who went to a public school, Mr. Speaker, and it was actually a day school, Mr. Speaker. So many people are suffering, Mr. Speaker. And actually the issues of bursary, if the governor will actually actualize the issues of dispersing bursary at the right time, Mr. Speaker, I think we will be very happy and our people will get the best, Mr. Speaker. With those few remarks, Mr. Speaker, I second the motion. Thank you very much.
Thank you, the Honourable Philip Rono. Honourable members, I now propose the motion by Honourable Cheruiyot Bett and seconded by Honourable Philip Rono that the thanks of the Assembly be recorded for exposition of public policy contained in the address by His Excellency the Governor. Honourable members, I now open the floor for debate. And honourable members, I will request you to also use the opportunity to make your maiden speech. The Honourable Member for Chilchila Ezron.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, sir, for this opportunity you have granted me, Mr. Speaker. First, to give a maiden speech, and secondly, Mr. Speaker, is to contribute on Governor's address, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, first and foremost, I would like to use this opportunity to thank the Almighty God for the gift of life and the favors He has granted unto me and all of us, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I got a privilege to serve in the last assemblies, Mr. Speaker. Although we had a lot of challenges, we had a lot of COVID, Mr. Speaker, God has been so grateful. He saw us through. We went to a campaign period again, Mr. Speaker, which was so vigorous, Mr. Speaker. It was challenging, Mr. Speaker, but God saw me through, Mr. Speaker. He gave me good health throughout my campaign period. He assisted me, and I emerged to be elected in Chilchila Ward, Mr. Speaker. So I want to thank God for the mercies He has granted that to us. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank my family, Mr. Speaker. My family has been a strong pillar in my political journey, Mr. Speaker. Because we normally say every strong leader or every successful man, Mr. Speaker, there must be somebody, some people behind, Mr. Speaker. And I will not shy away, Mr. Speaker. I use this opportunity to thank my lovely wife and my two boys, Mr. Speaker, Mr. Bobby and Mark, Mr. Speaker, for they have stood with me. They have allowed me to come into political arena, whereby I wake up every morning going to work for the people of Chilchila, not working for them, Mr. Speaker. So that is a great responsibility they have offered me, Mr. Speaker, and I would like to use this opportunity to thank them, Mr. Speaker, and allowing me to serve the great people of Chilchila. I want to thank my friends, Mr. Speaker, who stood with me during my campaign period. I will not name their names, Mr. Speaker, but I would like to appreciate their support, Mr. Speaker. My villagers, I never shy away. I come from a rural village called Bett in Magire polling station, Mr. Speaker. And those are the people who gave me the blessings before I went out, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to use this opportunity again to thank them, Mr. Speaker, because those are the people who gave, after the family, gave me the blessings to go and seek votes, Mr. Speaker. My campaign team, Mr. Speaker, I had a robust campaign team, Mr. Speaker. I had organized my campaign, and I had a very structured campaign team, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to use this opportunity to acknowledge their effort and to thank them, Mr. Speaker, because without them, I could not be having what we normally call in our college in Itik and Konyega at time, Mr. Speaker. So I want to thank them, Mr. Speaker, because they were the people who always inform me what is in the ground, Mr. Speaker. So I want to thank them, Mr. Speaker. My online brigade again, Mr. Speaker. You know, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Chilchila.
Yes.
The Honourable Paul Chirchir, and when you are on point of order, you know this is a house of rules and procedures. You need to tell us your point of order is based on which standing orders. The Honourable Member for Kapsoit.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir. I rise on a point of order, Mr. Speaker, sir. I can't remember exactly the standing order, Mr. Speaker, sir, but it's somewhere. Mr. Speaker, sir, we have two official languages in this house, Mr. Speaker, sir, Kiswahili and English. We cannot set very bad precedents, Mr. Speaker, sir. I have remembered, I think it's standing order number 87 says, Mr. Speaker, sir, all proceedings, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I quote, all proceedings of the Assembly shall be conducted in Kiswahili, English, or in Kenyan Sign Language. The Honourable Member for Chilchila has used a language that is not Kiswahili, nor English, nor Kenyan Sign Language, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Yeah,
I had this, the Honourable Member to withdraw and
order.
Use the right words, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Mheshimiwa, the Honourable Philip Rono, what is it? Point of information based on which standing order?
I just want to inform Mr. Speaker, it is not actually placed in any standing order, but Mr. Speaker, when somebody is talking and he puts in quotes, because it is a college in proverb, Mr. Speaker, it is allowed, Mr. Speaker.
You are out of order, Mheshimiwa. The Honourable for Chilchila, Mheshimiwa Hezron, of course, as you know, you are out of order. You need to withdraw those. Standing order number 87 is very clear on the proceedings to be in Kiswahili, English, or sign language. Okay, I therefore direct that you withdraw and continue making your maiden speech. And for the purposes of all of us, because we need to contribute, is that we need to limit ourselves. If we can do like 5 minutes each, Honourable Member, so that remember that we've directed that this shall be done in this sitting and on Tuesday morning session. So please continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for that information. Also, Mr. Speaker, before I withdraw, I would like to inform the House, Mr. Speaker, that it was a quote because I don't have the exact words to use to refer. That is why I said referred. So when you quote referred, it finds its way here. But for the purpose of the record, Mr. Speaker, I withdraw that statement, and maybe I'll say my campaign team, Mr. Speaker, was eyes of the back.
Continue.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, I was continuing to acknowledge the online brigade, Mr. Speaker. You know, this campaign of this year, Mr. Speaker, we have another team of campaigners called online and Facebook, social media campaigners, Mr. Speaker. They played a great role, Mr. Speaker, in passing the information and informing the public on my agenda. So I would like to thank them. Mr. Speaker, my supporters and all the voters of Chilchila, Mr. Speaker, I want to thank them because they have gone to the ballot, Mr. Speaker, for four times, Mr. Speaker, and have trust on me, Mr. Speaker. It's not a joke, Mr. Speaker. I must remind this House, Mr. Speaker, confusing for my case, Mr. Speaker, in 2017, to be in record, Mr. Speaker. I think I was the most voted MCA in the entire nation, Mr. Speaker. I got over 95%. 2022, Mr. Speaker. I think again, I featured again, Mr. Speaker, because I was the most voted MCA. So, convincing those people who are waking up on their different homes without talking to each other and go and cast their ballot for you is not a joke, Mr. Speaker. And granting you power, Mr. Speaker. So, and you know, Mr. Speaker, according to our Constitution, Mr. Speaker, Chapter 1 of our Constitution, whereby the sovereignty of the people, of the sovereign power belongs to the people, Mr. Speaker. And I would like to read Chapter 1 of the Constitution. All sovereign powers belong to the people of Kenya and shall be exercised only in accordance with this Constitution. The people may exercise their sovereign power either directly or through their democratically elected representative, Mr. Speaker. That is a very important information I want to pass to these honorable members, Mr. Speaker. Having come here, we are exercising the full authority and the full power which we have been granted by the people, Mr. Speaker. Thus, if we fail, the Constitution grants them the opportunity to come and exercise their powers directly, but they can exercise their power through us democratically, Mr. Speaker. And I want to continue, Mr. Speaker, so that at least these honorable members can appreciate where they are, Mr. Speaker. Number 3, sovereign power under Constitution is delegated to the following state organs, which shall perform the function in accordance with the Constitution. Parliament and legislative assemblies in the county governments, Mr. Speaker. That is very important, Mr. Speaker. So that these honorable members, even us when we are here, we appreciate the powers we have been granted. Because I don't want to take my time, Mr. Speaker, we will continue, Mr. Speaker. But I want to say, Mr. Speaker, I am here and I want to thank the great people of Chilchila for giving me that opportunity and granting me that powers to do and to say on their behalf, Mr. Speaker. So when I stand here, when I speak here, Chilchila is speaking, Mr. Speaker, sir. So, Mr. Speaker, secondly, I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, having been elected the last Speaker of the County Assembly of Kericho, Mr. Speaker. You are up to the task, Mr. Speaker. So I want to wish you God's wisdom so that you can lead this House and unite this House, Mr. Speaker, and to direct this out to greater heights, Mr. Speaker. We are lucky, Mr. Speaker, that during your election, Mr. Speaker, you experienced the environment of this, Mr. Speaker, that when you are exiting power, Mr. Speaker, two things may happen. People may celebrate your exit, or people may cry your exit, Mr. Speaker. So the choice is up to you, Mr. Speaker. You are wise enough, Mr. Speaker, to choose the direction you want, Mr. Speaker. But for as you are one of your lieutenant and advisor, Mr. Speaker, do justice to all. Because this House is for justice. We don't have tall or short, fat or thin. All people here are equal, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, allow me now, Mr. Speaker, to touch on the governor's address, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want, and I forgot to congratulate honorable members for making into this House, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members who are elected, congratulations for being elected, nominated members. You are congratulations, honorable. We are now honorable members. We are equal, and we after task ahead to transform this county to create heights, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to take this opportunity again to thank the governor for a wonderful speech, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you again because although it is our first session, Mr. Speaker, we are setting a good precedent, Mr. Speaker. And we don't want, because this is out of House of Order, House of Rules, and House of Procedure, Mr. Speaker. We need to set precedents because even in 100 years to come, if you want to find your recordings here, you will come and find here. So we want to everything we are doing, we do it with good precedents, Mr. Speaker. So whatever you have done, given us an opportunity to discuss governor's speech, Mr. Speaker, and again giving us opportunity to give out our maiden speech is a plus. I remember in our last assembly, Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate we were not given this opportunity. And I can tell you, and some of the honorable members here are my witness, there are almost 10 honorable members who never stood here where I am to give even a maiden speech. I don't want to name their names, Mr. Speaker. There was a member who was a chairman of a certain committee. He never even stepped here, Mr. Speaker, and he was a senior member. So, Mr. Speaker, allow these honorable members, according to our standing orders, Mr. Speaker, number 24, subsection 3, 4, and 5, Mr. Speaker. When the headline is governor's address to the assembly. When delivering an address to the assembly, the governor shall be heard in silence.
From even his speech, thanking everyone. matters to prosecute before we proceed.
Me from Honourable Member from Kapsoi, Mr. Speaker. Address he has given to the Assembly for thanking all the 47 appreciated the roles of the County Assembly, Mr. Speaker. Our roles, he will support us in ensuring and I want to thank our equalizer, our governor, Mr. Speaker, because he on Bett 4, Mr. Speaker, he said, Mr. Speaker, I want to reiterate that my administration submit itself to the authority of this house, and that there is nothing powerful like that, Mr. Speaker. And I urge honourable members to go through his governor speech, this address, Mr. Speaker, because he highlighted some good and very important points, Mr. Speaker. Again, he gave us an opportunity that the first role we are doing is to oversight him during the vetting of the CEOs and CCs, Mr. Speaker. The governor appreciate that he did in 1 hour only to be rubber stamps, Mr. Speaker. We want to check him, to oversight him, so that at the end of the day, he will get the best for our county, Mr. Speaker. Also, he said that he will submit passionate, hardworking, humble people, but with rich ideas. But although he is doing that, let's assist him to vet and to approve and to oversight him, so that we get the best for this county. The biggest thing which has ailed this county because right now, for the 10 years of the past regime, Mr. Speaker, if you can highlight, you can tell somebody to highlight the mega project which has been done and been successful in this county, he will never name. So because we had some unprofessionalism, so to cure that, Mr. Speaker, I think it's high time, honourable members, we have our game on our oversight role and ensure that we get the best. We want professionalism to be key, so that at the end of the day, we get the best for this county, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, he appreciates the fact that the backstop of everything stop at him, Mr. Speaker. Still on page 4, Mr. Speaker, he said the backstop in executive stop with me, Honourable Speaker. It is a role I appreciate too well, and that is why I all the time strive to address any love before it escalates to the assembly. Mr. Speaker, although we will be supporting the governor, Mr. Speaker, let's be watchful again so that we oversight Mr. Speaker, because he appreciates what is wrong and that the backstop stop at him, and is the executive executing projects, and as we are just doing budget, Mr. Speaker. And again, he recognized our effort and said on number 5, paragraph number 2 would be 5, that my success is your success, honorable members. And the contrast also applies. So, Mr. Speaker, honorable members, he is willing for us to own the success of the progress of this country. And the vice versa also implies. So, let's work together so that we achieve better and we succeed all, Mr. Speaker. As I end, Mr. Speaker, our governor highlighted is the big 6, Mr. Speaker. Our Jubilee administration with the last regime, Mr. Speaker, had both 4 big agendas which failed, Mr. Speaker. But our governor has highlighted the big 6, Mr. Speaker. If you have gone through the governor's speech, Mr. Speaker, you will appreciate that he prioritized roads. Mr. Speaker, I will read on paragraph 5, Mr. Speaker. Honorable members, we promise our people a lot, and that is why we have no option but to deliver. We promise roads, that is agenda number 1, which tops the agenda of the governor. We promise sound healthcare, that is number 2. We promise water, that is number 3. We promise better education, that is number 4. We promise improved value addition in agriculture, that is number 5. And we promise bursary, internship, and good governance among those, Mr. Speaker. So I appreciate he has laid down his agendas, Mr. Speaker. So, honorable members, when we will be doing our budget, when we will be doing our policies, let's do our policies in inclination to what the governor has highlighted, so that we don't collide, Mr. Speaker. So I think because I like to leave that opportunity. I like to end there, Mr. Speaker, so that at least I can add the honorable members to ventilate more on those agendas. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, I am the most grateful person, Mr. Speaker, and I want to assure you of my support and to assure the governor of any unsolicited advice, so that we can take this county assembly and this county to higher heights and to make Kericho great. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for this opportunity.
Thank you very much, the honorable member for Chinchilla. Now we can I now give it to the Honourable Bett. I know I saw the hands of the Honourable Ogony, but let me give it to the Honourable Bett, the member for Kipchebor. Welcome to make your maiden speech.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this chance to also contribute in this motion today. And like the rest of the members, I want to also give my maiden speech today. And Mr. Speaker, they say that becoming number 1 is easier than remaining number 1. And that is true statement for most of us who are elected for the second time, like myself. And I want to thank the people of Kipchebor Ward for electing me as the MCA in this 3rd County Assembly of Kericho. I want to thank my supporters, my family, and also the residents of Kipchebor Ward who saw it fit that I should be given the chance to be the MCA for the second time. Mr. Speaker, sir, you know very well that campaigns are very expensive in terms of time, resources, and even marshalling support is a heavy task because you have a lot of competition. Once you have a chance to be in this honorable house, we give God the glory. So I want to thank God because of this chance. I do acknowledge that the leadership is chosen by God, and therefore today I'm in this house because of the God who in heaven said fit that today I should be the MCA for Kipchebor Ward, serving as my second term MCA. Secondly, I want to thank also this house because in the first assembly, the second county assembly where I served, Mr. Speaker, sir, I was mentored by able staff here. I want to single out the clerk of the county assembly, the deputy clerk, all the clerks here, the staff, because we came when we were very green. We learned through the standing orders how to work in this assembly. And today, Mr. Speaker, sir, we have come with more experience than we have. I served again in the last assembly as the chair committee on implementation. And this committee, Mr. Speaker, sir, mentored me to understand exactly what an MCA should do in terms of oversight. I want to thank also the members because we were able to learn through the ropes, learn the journey the hard way, and today we have come back to serve in this Honourable House as members of the County Assembly. I want also to congratulate my fellow members who have been elected, starting with my senior Cheruiyot, Bett and Albert, who have been elected for the third time in a row, and also my able members, the likes of Honourable Hon.Cheruiyot, and also the rest who have been elected with me for the second time, and also the new members who have been given the mandate for the first time, and those who have been nominated to serve in this Honourable House. I think we say to God, thank you because of this chance. So, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish therefore to save on time to then give my remarks on the governor's address today. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a good debater, I will not only I'll critique the speech of the governor, and because of time I have decided just to pick on two sectors which he has mentioned today, and I want to give where areas I think he has scored very well, and areas he has not also been able to touch, because it's supposed to be a debate. And I think this is the healthy way of doing debates in this house. Mr. Speaker, sir, I will start with education. And it's actually the governor, Mr. Speaker, talked about a very important aspect which I support in terms of the TVET, sponsoring 100 students per ward to do technical courses in polytechnics in the county of Kericho. I think this move, Mr. Speaker, sir, is welcomed because we have a lot of young people in our county who have no skills at all. They have not been able to move beyond class 8 or Form 4. And I think if the county was to sponsor 100 per ward, 100 is a big number. Like for example, in my ward I have about 4 sub-locations. So this will be a good number to sponsor every single year. So in my view, this is a very well thought program, which I fully support the governor, and we hope that this will be a game changer in terms of giving our skills to the young people. This again, Mr. Speaker, sir, goes in line with the Hustler Fund that the Kenya Kwanza government is advocating. And I think once the youth have skills, they'll be able to be self-reliant in terms of what they'll be doing going forward. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to also congratulate the governor for acknowledging the fact that the ECD teachers in the county government of Kericho have all along been neglected for the last 10 years. And I think he has mentioned something very good, that they'll be confirmed on permanent and pensionable terms in this term. Mr. Speaker, sir, I remember in the last assembly, there was a petition that came through the ECD teachers crying, and I remember our senator came with a team from the Senate trying to negotiate with the assembly and the executive on finding ways of confirming our ECD teachers. And I think what the governor said today is a welcome move, because this will then put to rest the question of how we should be able to negotiate between the Senate, the County Assembly of Kericho, and the executive. So this, in my view, is a welcome move, and I would wish to urge my colleagues that once we come to the budget for consideration, we should be sober and look at ways of confirming these ECD teachers who have been helping us in the county government of Kericho. On the other sector which you mentioned is on the health sector, Mr. Speaker, sir, and also here, Mr. Speaker, I wish to agree with the governor on the issue of the funding of the county referral hospital of Kericho, which sits in my ward in terms of location, because, Mr. Speaker, sir, it is a very sad affair that we do not have drugs or even enough personnel who can help our people when they are sick, because the Kericho County Referral Hospital is supposed to be a referral hospital for all the facilities in the county government of Kericho. And we have not been able to do that because of the poor infrastructure. So I want to agree with the governor that we need to put more funding in this facility so that we can have more resources to help our people moving forward. And secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, where I really put my heavy heart to support is the issue of the oncology center. Mr. Speaker, sir, cancer has become the number one killer disease in our county. And I think setting up oncology center will help us, because this is one area that we have done poorly as a county. So I would want to support this move, that let's set up an oncology center in a hospital here, because they can do primary care for our people who are suffering from cancer from stage 1 to stage 4. And I think this is a welcome move, because we have seen people traveling every now and then to Eldoret or to Nairobi or to Nakuru. And I think this is a very important thing to do in our county. So my colleagues, I would want to urge all of us that we should consider this particular move by the governor to ensure that we have an oncology center in the county referral hospital. On the issues which I think the governor did not touch is on the issue of drugs in the hospital. The governor failed to acknowledge the fact that there is also pilferage of drugs in the county referral hospital, Mr. Speaker, sir. If you move around the hospital there, you will find there are a lot of chemists outside there. And the question is that why would it be every single time that when you come out of the biggest county, the hospital of Kericho County, you find pharmacy shops outside there with the same drugs missing in the hospital. So I think the governor failed to address the issue of making sure that once drugs have been procured, what measures will you put in place to ensure that these drugs procured will not end up going to private chemists, which our people will suffer in the long term. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I did not hear the governor mention in his speech about the issue of confirmation of healthcare workers, because we have also healthcare workers like the nurses, clinical officers who have been serving on contract, and the governor did not mention any of those, whether he's going to confirm them. But I think, Mr. Speaker, sir, we shall be able to propose that in the coming days and ensure that as he confirms the ECD teachers, he also considers confirming the healthcare workers who have been serving on contract terms for a long time. Mr. Speaker, sir, lastly, on the issue of affirmative action fund, he has been able to mention on the three groups which have been identified by the Constitution of Kenya, that is the PWD, the women and youth. And the governor has ably said that we should consider those three groups in terms of ensuring that we have we give them necessary support in terms of the tenders, in terms of the budget allocation. But I wish also to remind the governor that he has the mandate also to ensure that as he appoints the able men and women is going to send this honorable house, he should consider also the PWDs, the women and the youth in his government, because that is one way of working the talk. So I would want to also point out that he should consider once forming his government on those three categories of the people who are supposed to be working in the county government. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I wish to say that in general, the Speaker has our support, and I think this speech is a good speech which he has delivered, and we are ready to support him to deliver on his mandate as MCAs who have been given a chance to be in this house. And for that remarks, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that I thank you for this chance you've given me, and once again, all of us, congratulations, and may God bless Kericho County, may God bless Kenya, and thank you so much, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Bett, and now we give it to the Honourable Wellon Rogoy.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity. I'm grateful to have been among the first new elected members to take the podium and give the maiden speech. Mr. Speaker, I'm also grateful to the people of Silawit Ward for giving me the opportunity to represent them in the third county assembly. I'm grateful because leadership has been elusive, especially to me, because I've attended from 2013. But I was running for a higher office. It's until 2020 that I realized I could still start from here as we rise to the higher offices. Mr. Speaker, because of time, I want to contribute on the governance address to this house, and I want to going to touch on a few sectors that is highlighted in this speech. One is health, and NOPA's health. I want to believe the NOPA has been prosecuted heavily by those who have come most of the March part of the budget that is funding that goes to health is the biggest goes to health. But then the problem has been there is still not much that we can see. For instance, Mr. Speaker, most of our dispensaries still operate Monday to Friday from 10 to 4 or 5 latest. Most of the health centers that we have do not operate as expected. The governor has indicated that more money still needs to be allocated there. But I think as a house, let us come up with proper legislation that will seek to enhance the operation in this sector. We want to see dispensaries running even over the weekends because people do get sick even at night. And in far-flung areas, like where my brother comes from, Chinchilla, where you can have a dispensary and another one located more than 3 kilometers away. Most of these people have been lost because of lack of health care. Number 2 is the staff. I've been able to tour some of our health facilities. Like Sikawet Sub-County Hospital, it should be running optimally with more than 80 nurses and some clinical officers. But as it is now, they have around 40. That is way below. That is why you go there sometimes at night, you cannot be attended to because of the staff are not the number that we need. Lastly, in the oncology center, the governor was brilliant. This is a brilliant idea, but the problem is this will not be done in this financial year because already there is a budget that is in place. CFSP has programs touching on health. It may not, this one may not be tenable now, maybe in the next financial year and subsequent financial years. Number 2, I'm actually now putting to the governor, and it will be from this house that we have some staff engaged in contractual terms. When I talk about this, I'm saying that from here, let us allocate funds directly to the dispensary on quarterly periods so that these health centers can engage some staff on contractual terms, even as we wait for the county to hire on permanent and pensionable terms the others. This will help to reduce the workload, and these staff will work 24/7 for the people to get the services. In agriculture, the governor has stated very well that he is trying to revive the sector. Mr. Speaker, it is shocking. I've gone through all the budgets that have been implemented by this county government of Kericho. But then agriculture has not been heavily funded. Now, if the governor does as is promised, this is a sector that will be a game changer, especially in terms of revenue and employment opportunities. Value addition is where we will be getting more people engaged, meaning the unemployment will be reduced to an extent. Revival of other sectors will also, especially in agriculture, will spur development of the infrastructure. This is a multiplier effect, especially in raising revenues to help us with our targets. In education sector, which is co-mandate of this country, the ECD section, the member is just left here, stated very well, the worst staff who is not being considered in this country is the ECD teacher. And I'm going to propose that even as we confirm them, let us ensure they are paid properly, they are remunerated as per their academic qualifications, and we will even go an extra mile and see if it will be tenable for us to, if feasible for us to look at those kids in terms of feeding programs. Other counties have done that, but our county we will need to consider them too, so that we have these kids get what they need. Lastly, on bursary funds, Mr. Speaker, I want to believe that we are not talking about the money that has been allocated. For instance, Chai Quad, where we do not have any other thing that the county can do for them. It's only bursary. We expect ward like Chaik get more funds enough for almost all the kids going to school in that ward. And for our wards also, we want to see the county government of Kericho roll out scholarships that are done case and point is Minute County, where they give up to 5 kids per ward full scholarship from 1 to 4. That is what we want to see in this county government this time around. Others, Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful. I want to believe this assembly will be working to support the governor and this administration towards realizing what is put forward for the people of Kericho, and that will mean if we are successful, most of us will be elected. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker. Asante sana. Congratulations, members, for making it to this house. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you very much, the Honourable Member for Singawit. I can see so many hands, but standing order, I want to refer members to standing order number 89, that reads 2 or more members requesting to speak. If 2 or more members request to speak at the same time, the member called upon by the speaker shall be entitled to speak. So I will request that I'll be following the standing orders. It is not in any vein. So I want to give it to the Honourable Member for Kable Lardet, the Honourable Eric B. And then, yes, proceed.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker, for this opportunity you've given out to me. Allow me first of all to thank you and my colleague, honourable members, for election which actually undertook and we became successfully. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, allow me also to thank my great people of Kable Lardet. I think having been nominated in the last time, Mr. Speaker, I got an opportunity to be elected, the only nominated MCA who succeeded and was elected. I must say thank you, great people of Kable Lardet, and I'm looking forward actually to do the best of my ability. As National Governor has said in his maiden speech, actually I don't promise perfection, but I promise process. Thank you. So to this address by the government, Mr. Speaker, I will touch on 3 areas because of time. I know our first member who has spoken, I've actually touched on very many areas. For me, I'm going straight away to touch on issue of unity. I think he spoke very categorically that assembly and the executive, we shall be working in hands together. We shall have that unity. But I think also I must say that in our side, as an assembly, Mr. Speaker, we also have to work as a united assembly. I think that is very paramount, so that as we engage ourselves in our roles for implementation, for oversight, representation, we should be one, as one assembly. So that one is a paramount thing, and we must say that we should work. Immediately we are done with this exercise. Next week, the other week, we shall be in Mombasa. Mr. Speaker, I request we get united as an assembly and we proceed on doing our roles. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, I must say that the speech by Governor, he was able to touch on unemployment. Unemployment in our county, when we were looking for folks and we were promising our electors that there is a huge unemployment, especially to the youth. They are really crying. Most of them are saying that we should have a link so that we can get into the county. But I must say that what Governor spoke is that he is going to streamline the Public Service Board so that they may be able to do advertisement and be able to place our youth into the
an issue concerning health. Health is important. Health is essential to our people. So I can put it this way, that in the last assembly, as a vice chair and during the tenure, Mr. Speaker, we were able to do a legislative, that is health bill, which I think if our governor is going to put into action, is going to implement through that health bill, it is very important. It has an all source revenue, whereby in an hospital, when there is any collection, when there is any revenue collected by the hospitals, it shall be returned back, reimbursed back to the health sector. And I think that health bill is everything. If the governor can go through the health bill, I think he is going to cap so many issues, issue of shortage of drugs, shortage of staffs, and what have you. So I'm very happy because he was able to put it that he had gone to our facility here at Revival Hospital, and he noted that there is no drugs, and he has said that he has directed. So he's the governor, and I think making directives, we are looking forward in the next few days, drug issues shall be of no, we shall not feel any problem in terms of missing drugs in our hospital. So lastly, oncology. I think issue of cancer, as our honourable member has put in place, that we have a killer, which is killing every weekend. We are going for barrel. We are burying our people who have succumbed through cancer. Cancer is a killer. So putting the oncology unit in our facility, I think we shall be able to prevent by doing screening. In the first case, in any patient who comes to the facility, shall be a mandatory issue to be able to screen and to be able to realize and diagnose cancer in early stages. Because if cancer is stage 3, that one automatically shall not be able to cure. So in early stages, if our patient is subjected to screening at the early stages, I think we are going to reduce the deaths, and our county shall move to another level. Mr. Speaker, there's an issue of bursaries. As elected members, we are able to promise our electorate the issue of bursaries. In the last assembly, there was delays, I think because of the procedures and the implementation kind of. So I think when the governor say that he's going to ensure that bursaries are given in time, I was very impressed, because down there where I come from, Mr. Speaker, the poverty rate is high, and very many people normally come to my home every weekend looking for school fees. And what I'm going to do, immediately the governor has put in place this issue of bursaries. I shall now, I'll promise my people that the bursary shall come immediately. The CECs and CEOs has put in place. So I think Governor mentioned a very important thing, and we support his implementation part of it. Otherwise, Mr. Speaker, because of time, and you've given us 2 minutes or 3 minutes, I say that I support this report from the Honourable Cheruiyot Bett regarding Governor's speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Member for Gabriel Artet. I want to invite the Honourable Member for Hon.Cheruiyot, Seretut, the Honourable Haron Rotich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I want to start by saying I'm really grateful to the people of Hon.Cheruiyot ward for voting me a second time in a row. And I want to say, for my good people, I'm really grateful for you saw something fit in me. Again, Mr. Speaker, I want to also say that I'm really delighted to have served in the second assembly and now third assembly. And after undergoing a vigorous campaigns that actually made us spend a lot of resources But we thank God that most of us here, about 10 members, are back to this third assembly. But Speaker, I also want to, before I go to ventilate on the address of the governor, I want to say that I also want to say thank you very much for you also to be our speaker, and I can assure you that we'll work with due diligence and we'll support you, and hopefully you'll support us to get what we actually need towards our achieving our legislative role. Direct to the point, but Speaker, I also want to touch on the address of the governor. Number one, I only need to address on two issues that actually sank into my mind. Number one, we've had challenge, Bwana Speaker, on the issue of automation of revenue sources in our county. I want to say that this one with automation, especially hospital issues, because most of the time I spend most of my time in district hospital and maybe Kapkatet sub-county hospital. And I can clearly state that most of the time I go there releasing people that have actually been discharged. And the challenge that most of the time we've undergone is on the issue of payments. Most of our people don't have NHIF cards, and therefore we usually go to go fundraise, come with the money on paying the same amount for the bills. But as Speaker, I want to say that we've had challenges that we are forced to pay using cash so that patients are going to be released from the hospitals. So therefore, that one I agree, and we agree with the governor. What governor has stated very clear, that we must automate our revenue sources, not only hospitals, but across all sectors that cuts on in our county. Number two, I want to also clarify what the Honourable Member from Kipchabor had stated before on the issue of ECD teachers. I want to say I support what the Honourable Governor stated about the ECD teachers. I heard we are going to confirm on permanent and pensionable terms, not forgetting that he also mentioned the issue of equipping our own ECD classrooms, which I want to say that is a plus. However, he forgot the issue of feeding program. We would also want that to see our children that are in ECD classrooms, that they also get something, maybe during break time, and maybe probably milk, maybe when they are going home. Because I think that is actually how we were fed during Nyayo era, that is Moi regime. So we were really very happy, and we appreciated that time. So maybe lastly, I want to say the allocation. Governor stated very well on the allocation, increase of allocation to the health sector. I want to say I support, and we will make sure that we allocate more funding. Because like I've stated very clearly that we've had challenges on the issue of NHIF, and I'm very happy that most of the people that we gave them an NHIF cards totaling to 400 per ward, which was amounting to 1.2 million in the year 2019 by financial year. And I want to say, up to date, most of our people pay, and they are still paying to date. So I therefore want to request that going forward, I will support our Honourable Governor, so that at least each and every member will also go home, or each and every ward MCA will go home, giving our own people or supporting our people, get each and every NHIF card. For the last regime, we also paid for 6 months. It wasn't a year, just like what one of our honourable members mentioned, because it was 1.2 million, and then we were giving 400 households. So that one was running for only 6 months. So we would also want to look on how we can increase, so that at least we pay for our own people for maybe probably a year. And that one will be, is possible and achievable. So maybe lastly, as I conclude, I want to request honourable members that we work. Last regime, we were actually faced by issues of COVID, and that is why we could not achieve as our own people expected. But probably going forward, we expect that we will achieve as we had assured them when we were going rounds during our own campaigns. So therefore, I want to say, on how to achieve this, we must work together as a team, and we will all achieve, and we might come back 2027 as 30 members, not 10 members, the ones that came back the other day. So with few remarks, Honourable Speaker, I expect that we'll work together, and that's something that I can assure. And to my honourable members, I want to assure that we will work as a team, and we wouldn't tire, especially those elected and nominated. All are now one. There's no issue of elected versus nominated, because we are all appointed here to serve our own people, the people of Kericho, the whole Kericho County. So once more, I want to say pongezi to the Speaker, and wish you well as you also discharge your mandate. And all the honorable members, I want to say I'm really grateful. Na sisi zote tufanye kazi pamoja. Asante sana.
Thank you very much, the honorable member for selected. Before you out of order, member. Our standing orders are very clear on when you start a debate using one language, you should continue with that language until you complete the discussion. So remember, all members to be guided on that standing orders. From this end, yes, the honorable member for Chilchila.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I raise on a part of information to inform the House that the honorable member from Senator Chapter Ward is not properly dressed.
Thank you very much, the honorable member for Chinchilla on that. Of course, again, the standing orders are very clear, but the Speaker will, of course, make a consideration and rule on the matter later. From there, I want to give it to the Honourable Paul Chirchir, and then I'll now give to the Honourable Irene to make maiden speech, and then.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for allowing me to make my maiden contribution, Mr. Speaker, sir. First of all, this is a special day. I want to thank Almighty God, my family, and the people of Hon.Cheruiyot for allowing me a second chance to be their representative, Mr. Speaker. So it wasn't an easy task, but nonetheless, we made it. We thank God, and we are ready for 5 years. Mr. Speaker, sir, we are no longer talking about 5 years. We are talking about 4 years, 11 months, and some days. So this assembly will be charged by the number of legislations, the number of motions, and all that it will do as per their mandate when 5 years come to an end, Mr. Speaker, sir. Between 2017 and 2022, Mr. Speaker, sir, 6 elected members were re-elected to the second assembly, Mr. Speaker, sir, plus 1 member who was nominated. That is 7, Mr. Speaker, sir. That makes 14%. Mr. Speaker, sir, between 2022 and 2027, 9 honorable members plus one nominated, Mr. Speaker, sir, that's 10. That's 21%, Mr. Speaker, sir. I do not know what will happen in 2027, 2032. But we pray that more members will be elected based on what we will do as an assembly, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are Kenya Kwanza Coalition. We have a bottom-up economic model, Mr. Speaker, sir, and I am happy our governor today has aligned his manifesto as was contained in his address with our bottom-up economic model, Mr. Speaker, sir. Number 1, Mr. Speaker, sir, health is wealth. Our governor enumerated the programs, the plan that he has for the healthcare in Kericho County, Mr. Speaker, sir. We are looking forward to quality health care that will be accorded to our people, and that can only be possible whenever we have policies that are good, Mr. Speaker. I look forward to our referral hospital to be made autonomous, Mr. Speaker, to have a model, the model of Moi Teaching and Referral Hospital, Mr. Speaker, with running with a full board, Mr. Speaker. This will be possible, Mr. Speaker, I know, because it will be able to address challenges that are there because of their way of revenue collection, and whenever they want to be reimbursed, sometimes there are challenges of delays in money being dispersed by the National Treasury, Mr. Speaker. So when we make our referral hospital independent, autonomous, all these issues will be addressed, Mr. Speaker. Health Department takes the lion's share in our budget. So, and our budget going forward, Mr. Speaker, we need to have a look at it in terms of increasing more revenue streams, like in the Department of Health, with the automation of revenue collection in our hospitals. It will address the challenges that are there, Mr. Speaker. Number two, Mr. Speaker, on agriculture. Agriculture is the backbone of our economy. We can only talk when we are food secure, Mr. Speaker. But there are challenges, very serious challenges, that has been hindering success in our agriculture, Mr. Speaker. We have seen our county grow in terms of dairy, but the biggest challenge is the cost of animal feeds, Mr. Speaker, for dairy, the cost of poultry feeds for poultry, the cost of fish feeds for our fish, Mr. Speaker. Going into the future, we hope to see, as we had started, something called Basics First, where as we support the funding of our processor, Mr. Speaker, first of all, we need to grow production. And the only way to grow production is capacity building for our farmers to be able to grow further. Our farmers should have access to quality breeds, Mr. Speaker. Our farmers should be trained on modern farming, Mr. Speaker, and all this will bring down the cost of feeds, Mr. Speaker. Because if you look at the cost of a liter of milk right now, Mr. Speaker, it is very high. The cost of an egg, Mr. Speaker, right now is very high. So we hope in the near future this assembly will be passing or appropriating resources to help this sector, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I also saw something where the governor has proposed that Kabianga Tea Farm and Kipkelian Coffee Farm to fund our bursary for Mr. Speaker. This can only be possible if there will be legislation to this effect. But Kabianga Tea Farm, Kipkelian Tea Farm, and other revenue streams, Mr. Speaker, go direct to the exchequer. So there is no way we can say specific areas to fund specific programs, Mr. Speaker. I think this one may not be possible, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, skills on TVETs. We have quite a number of TVETs, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, the Honourable Cheruiyot Bett.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. You know I cannot sit down, Mr. Speaker, when the Honourable Hon.Cheruiyot is misleading this Honourable House, Mr. Speaker, that the process from Kabianga Tea Farm and Kipkelian Coffee Farm may not be channeled towards the bursary kitty, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, you know, most of these things, Mr. Speaker, can even be given through orders, Mr. Speaker. If the governor, for example, give an executive order that the money the proceeds of Kabianga Tea Farm and the Kipkelian Coffee Farm, Mr. Speaker, should be channeled directly, Mr. Speaker, the bursary account, bank, Mr. Speaker. That is possible, Mr. Speaker. So it's misleading us, because the government has the powers, Mr. Speaker. Of course, with the approval of this County Assembly, Mr. Speaker. All policies must be approved by this County Assembly, Mr. Speaker. So it is possible.
Okay, thank you very much, the Honourable Cheruiyot. Bett, I think what you are raising is a very salient comment. However, the proposal, of course, will emanate from the executive, and as you put it, anything or any approval shall be brought to this House for consideration. So, Mheshimiwa Paul Chirchir, continue with your comments.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you. I stand guided. That is why I said it can only be possible when there is a legislation to that effect, Mr. Speaker, sir. In fact, the Honourable Member finalized by saying this House will approve. The same thing as I said that we need a legislation. Like, okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Now, on Tibet, this is a very important sector, Mr. Speaker, sir. Our youth need to be equipped with skills, Mr. Speaker, sir. We have several polytechnics in our wards. There's one in Kapsoid, there's one in Chemosot, there's one in Kiptere, there's one in London, there are several. But the instructors who work in all these institutions, Mr. Speaker, sir, have not been confirmed. So I hope that as we plan to roll out this program, Mr. Speaker, sir, we also need to consider the instructors so that a well-remunerated teacher, Mr. Speaker, sir, will always do a good job, Mr. Speaker, sir. So finally, Mr. Speaker, sir, this House, and I want to be on record, Mr. Speaker, sir, this House is a House of 47 honourable members, Mr. Speaker, sir. We will work as a team. There will be no elected and no nominated, Mr. Speaker, sir. We will be one County Assembly of Kericho, Mr. Speaker, sir. And going forward, I will be proposing an amendment to committees that do not incorporate some of the members, to incorporate all the members, Mr. Speaker, sir, because I find that discriminative to look out other members in other committees, Mr. Speaker, sir. An effective legislative intervention, Mr. Speaker, sir, matters for an effective government policy, Mr. Speaker, sir. And Mr. Speaker, sir, finally, I will be proposing a motion next week to address issue on pending bills, because, Mr. Speaker, sir, this has been a thorn in the flesh. The Controller Budget has given a directive. EACC have also given guidelines on how to address pending bills, Mr. Speaker, sir. So we will be making it easy for the governor to pay genuine, audited, and verified pending bills, Mr. Speaker, sir. As that's my end of today's, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Paul Chirchir. What is it, the Honourable Member for Chilchila?
Honourable Member, Mr. Speaker, was out of order, Mr. Speaker. Standing Order number 97, subsection 5, it shall be out of order for a member to criticize or to question the proceeding assembly of another assembly speaker ruling or another assembly, but on debate may be allowed to on the structures or rules of another assembly. But Mr. Speaker, according on governor speech, Mr. Speaker, is not allowed to introduce other things outside what was in governor speech, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, he is out of order to come and tell us he is going to introduce another motion to discuss on the pending bill, and the issue which we were discussing was on governor's address. You guide the House, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you very much, the member for Chilchila. One thing for sure, the honourable members, is that when everyone is debating or criticizing on the speech of the governor. I think the Honourable Member for Kapsoit alluded to the fact that in the near future he will table a report or a motion on some of the matters that have been addressed by the governor. And I so rule that he is not out of order. On the matter of whether the Honourable Harun Rotich is not properly dressed, I want to ask the Sergeant at Arms to confirm whether indeed the Honourable Member is properly dressed or not. Confirm the Sergeant of Sergeant at Arms. Honourable members, of course, having consulted the Sergeant at Arms, the Honourable Member for Hon.Cheruiyot is not properly dressed, and I politely request him to leave the house and in future be properly dressed. Thank you very much. Now the Honourable Member for Irene, let's have Honourable Irene to make her maiden speech, and then debate, my comments on the debate by the governor's speech.
So thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance. Let me also congratulate you for being elected as the Speaker or the third Speaker of Kericho County in that hotly contested seat. To the members, whether elected or nominated, congratulations, because at least you made to this house. I want to thank the UDA leadership for considering me to be in this house, and more particularly the one Honourable Bett, whom we worked with across this county, and she saw something good in me. Pertaining the governor's speech today, I've read it, I've dissected a few things, and I think I can say it was good. It touched on so many areas, if not all, and his presence here, first of all, symbolizes unity. And in his speech, he said, we are a family. And that one alone, it was enough it gave us that humble beginning, and we feel at home. Being new here, I feel I'm supposed to be here, and I really feel at home. I have read through this article, and one is on the duplication of legislations. It is very important. Those counties that lagged behind in the previous regime, it was because of the duplication of legislations, and once we do this, there will be rivalry between the executive and here the legislature. So we need to be seen, and I think when he touched on this, it was key and very important. On the health sector, the past regime tried, and we are here to make it better. And the governor touched on a number of issues, on the health sector, and he said he's going to improve on several areas. And my area of concern, where he said other challenges is on the issues affecting our mothers, that is the maternity wing. And I think he touched on it because he said terminal diseases among many other challenges. So I felt the issues like we've lost several of us, that is the women, have been losing their lives. The lives of our young ones have been lost because of poor health care. So I felt this one was touched, and as a mother, I think I congratulate the governor. On matters NHIF, I think in as much as we are saying we are picking the 400 families, we have several other families which may not be picked, and I think it will be prudent if we reduce those rates, if it is possible, if the bill can be tabled, so that we talk of the reduction. I think it will be in order. So the NHI is still high, and several homesteads, several people may not afford the 500 shillings. So I think those are areas that need to be touched. That is on the health sector. On education, I think I'll say about the bursary. The bursaries needs to be given. The governor has touched on the bursaries and equitable distribution of these bursaries. Not forgetting that whenever we pick a student, a needy student, let's say someone who lost, that is an orphan. That particular child will be an orphan from day one up to that time when you leave this planet. So that particular child should be given bursary from day one when they are identified up to the last day of their studies, so for purposes of equity and assisting vulnerable homes in wherever we come from. Otherwise, thank you so much for this time.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Irene. The Honourable Vincent Korir, the member for Londiani 1.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate you for your election as the third Speaker of Kericho County Assembly. I also want to congratulate every member here who made it to be elected or nominated as honorable member in this House. And I also want to thank the people of Londiani for the great trust in and electing me to be their member of County Assembly. I also want to thank my family who stood by me during my campaign, and also who gave me moral support, encouragement, and prayer when I was vying for this position. I will not also forget to thank the people of Kipkelion East who mentored me when I started my political journey in 2013. And up to this level, where I am is because of them. And what I want to tell this Honourable House is we will work hard to represent our people, and more so to deliberate on issues affecting the people of Kericho County. I know as a house, we are going to work together as a team and bring each other so that we have one big agenda. Also, I want to thank the House and the members of this House for proposing me and endorsing me to be the next majority leader. And I promise that we will work hard together to consult and to also deliberate on issues together as a family. And touching on the issues that, touching on the governor's speech, I would like to highlight on some few issues that that is in governor's speech. One of them is healthcare. I know healthcare is one of the biggest and most important issue that we should handle within our county. The issue, when individuals or people are healthy, the society will be healthy and wealthy as well. And I would like to highlight on there are things that are mentioned in the speech. For example, the issue of drugs. Where I represent, we have healthcare facilities across the world. But the key issue is when there are no drugs, it means there will be no activity going on, because if you need to treat people, you have to have drugs. And what I want to say is, maybe in this house, we need to relook on the key things that will touch on healthcare, so that our healthcare system is going to be efficient and effective. And we believe if we deliberate on the issues like equipments, cost of health, healthcare cover, for example, the NHIF, prevention, staff, research also, and supply chain issues can also help us to be able to handle and deal with healthcare programs in our county. For example, when you look at the issue dealing with cancer, I know we have lost a lot of people, and very many families have suffered because of cancer. I remember I had a friend who used to campaign for me, and sadly we lost him because of cancer. Furthermore, cancer is draining a lot of resources from our people and our communities. We are doing a lot of fundraisings. We are investing a lot in trying to treat patients with cancer. And I believe if we are going to handle this issue from all angles, including having better healthcare facilities that can handle cancer, then I know we will have solved half of the problem from our healthcare. Again, when you go to our hospitals, I can mention in my place, Londiani Referral Hospital. There has been a lot of issues. But I know if we deliberate very well and find a way of handling these issues, we will be able to have better healthcare system that our people are going to be happy and appreciate to be citizens of Kenya and Kericho County. Mr. Speaker, sir, in my ward where I represent, there has been cases where cancer is common and has been reoccurring every now and then. That's why I was saying we should also invest in research so that we will be able to solve some of the problems. Prevention is better than cure. And I know, like during COVID-19, for us to defeat COVID is because of prevention. And if we can also look at that in terms of prevention, we will also have solved the problem, have we? Because we will not invest in treatment, because the diseases will have already been prevented. Again, maybe on efficiency in drug delivery to our stores in hospitals, and also the type of drugs that are available in our stores should be looked at, so that our citizens are able to get the better treatment that they deserve.
Because if you go to some of our healthcare facilities, maybe you will only get first aid kits and maybe Panadol. But if we are also going to look at how best we are going to solve the issue of drugs, equipments, and healthcare coverage, especially in the NHIF, the most important thing is to look at those people who are vulnerable and the poor. I myself, every day, I encounter people who are not able to pay for their healthcare. And if there is a way we can support the poor, then I know we will have helped our county to solve the issue of healthcare. On agriculture, agriculture in this county is a backbone. And I know most of the revenue and income from our people depend on agriculture. We have several sectors that the governor has mentioned in the speech, and I want to thank him for recognizing the potential, the diversity of the agricultural sector in our county. Every sub-county has a key project or key value group that they depend upon. In our area, because of lack of good source of income from farming activities, I will ask the county to look at the key crops and the key sectors in agriculture like dairy, maize, coffee, tea, and pyrethrum. Because if we have good agricultural programs, we will be able to improve on revenue.
Order, honorable members.
Thank you. If we have good agricultural programs, we will be able to increase the revenue in this county. Because I know healthcare requires more money. They will require more budget so that we can be able to solve the issue of welfare, of healthcare. Again, there are issues that farmers are really suffering from. And maybe in this house we can put pieces of legislation so that we can be able to intervene and have good policies that can be able to help our farmers. Look at the inputs. For example, currently the fertilizer, the cost of fertilizer, and we want to thank the national government for actually subsidizing on fertilizer. Maybe we need to also look as a house on which part of inputs our county government can be able to intervene and subsidize to cut costs of expenditure by our farmers so that we will be able to improve on income. Again, look at the value addition. But before we go to value addition, let us first look at the key issue of inputs, as our Honourable Tarimbo has said about Honourable Paul-Cheruiyot Tarimbo suggested that we need first of all to look at the baseline.
Honourable member for what is it? The honourable member for Kamasian. What is it? Yes.
I don't think it is right, Honourable Speaker, to refer our fellow colleague with an email, Mr. Speaker, that is not actually official, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Honourable Member. You know, Mheshimiwa Paul-Cheruiyot is here. Unless in an event that, as at today, maybe he has changed his names, he can be the only one to confirm whether he now has 3 names. Mheshimiwa Paul-Cheruiyot, before I rule.
I have 3 names, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, so the 3 names include the one alluded by the Honourable Vincent.
Mr. Speaker, sir, thank you. The process of formalizing the name is in progress, Mr. Speaker, sir. So I can as well say all the 3 names are mine, Mr. Speaker, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. So, the Honourable Vincent, as you have heard, you need to withdraw that. There is the Honourable Member for Hon.Cheruiyot goes by the names the Honourable Paul Kibiago Chirchir. Thank you, and you may proceed.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I was trying to pass a point that maybe on file addition, we need to look first at maybe the first process before value addition. That is, we empower the farmers to have better markets, better inputs, subsidy on inputs, quality seeds, so that as we are approaching the other step of value addition, we will have already ensured or secured ourselves in terms of production. Mr. Speaker, I would also like to focus on the issue of ECD, as it touches on us, especially with the devolved government. I've been meeting several teachers in our wards. Some of them, maybe, and some who I know, taught us when we were in nursery school, and they have never been confirmed. I do also would like to request the governor to actually look at it and confirm the teachers, so that they can also be able to be secured in their jobs and be able to do their job properly and be able to support the ECD schools. Again, on the issue of bursary, I know there are many poor families who are actually deserve to be given bursary. And I know most of our colleagues, when we were campaigning, we were challenging our fellow competitors, especially those who were in the house in last term, about the bursary. And it really worked for us. So we are begging that let it not work like it worked for them last time. We will urge the governor to actually push the issue of bursary to be the first agenda. I would like to thank the governor for coming up with the idea of internships, because I know there are so many students who are desperate out there to find proper training and internship programs. Also, on the issue of scholarships, on 3,000 or 100 students per ward will actually help build a technically empowered society, so that we can have people who will be able to serve us in different capacities in our wards. Mr. Speaker, I would like to also touch on employment. And I know our government, the Kenya Kwanza, is actually working on a bottom-up model of economic model. And if we are talking about employment, then we should also look in our county on issues of trade. Maybe we focus on Juakali and also involve our youths in public works or in projects that we are doing in various wards, like building of roads, so that we can create employment. Because the issue of employment is a big monster in our society. There are so many youths who are not employed. And I know if we develop this county well, we will be able to increase maybe the revenue, and also more people will get jobs. Mr. Speaker, sir, I don't want to spend a lot of time, because I know my colleagues are also going to contribute. But I will also like the House to deliberate on the revenue collection, revenue sources, and how we can maximize the revenue in our county. Also, looking at the wider angle of getting even donors and other people who are willing to give us more money for us to be able to perform very well and deliver to our people. Again, looking at bigger projects that are supported by World Bank. Also, there is an issue where the Supreme Court ruled, and to me, I'm seeing that it is going to be an opportunity for us to get more income. The issue of CDF. Maybe in future we should get clarification of how it is going to be integrated as part of the county. it will work very well for us. Otherwise, I would like to say thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity and also to getting this first chance and first opportunity to speak in this house. I know we are going to learn a lot as new members as we move forward, and we will be able to prosecute the issues affecting Kericho County, and by the end of the 5 years, we will be able to deliver our mandate. Thank you very much, God bless.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Member for Londiani. I want to give to the Honourable Dr. Norman Rope, and after this, the Honourable Anita, then the Honourable Kipto, and then the Honourable Dominic, and then from there, we shall. I have seen so many hands. So the Honourable Naman.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for getting this opportunity to give my maiden speech and comment on His Excellency the Governor's maiden speech to this House. First and foremost, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to thank the great people of Soin Ward for giving me an opportunity to serve in this third assembly. I would like to congratulate the honorable members and also congratulate you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for being the third speaker of this third honorable assembly. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to appreciate and commend His Excellency the Governor for his maiden speech, that while his speech covered on the agendas that are concerned with the common man on education, on agriculture, on water, on revenue, and many other issues that has been ailing our county, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to comment on the following issues. That his speech is informing his policy, that his speech would inform praxis, that his speech would even inform on allocation of resources to issues that he has vested on his interests towards the development of Kericho County. I would like to mention the following, that while his speech is ambitious and deals so much on holistic development of our county, Mr. Speaker, sir, I would like to note the following, that the speech didn't give on how he's going to fund the major projects that he has mentioned, particularly the agribusiness value addition projects that he has mentioned. For instance, Mr. Speaker, sir, the main role of a county government and even the national government is not so much on business activities. The main role of governments are provision of services to its citizenry. So it is my observation, Mr. Speaker, sir, that while us is thinking and envisaging a scenario where he can develop a sugar industry, he can develop a coffee industry, he can develop various industries that have been mentioned in the speech, it is also prudent to note that we should get clear in 2030. It is also prudent for us to note that these individuals that we are empowering must be given a clear path, career path, that while they are coming out from these training institutions, there should be clear pathways on how they can be helped get either self-sufficiency or employment for the actualization of their lives, so that we don't end up like the Chebwagan a scenario where our youths were taken, they were trained, they were even promised permanent and pensionable jobs. But right now we know the reality that is there, Mr. Speaker, sir. Those are my submissions to this third assembly, and thank you.
Thank you much. Thank you very much, the Honourable Naman. The Honourable Anita Biegon.
Honourable Speaker, I'd like to once more say congratulations for the opportunity let me take this opportunity to thank the people of Chemo South Ward for giving me the opportunity to be able to serve them in the next 5 years, not forgetting the support of family and friends that held my hand, worked with me, and were able to achieve or be able to represent them in this assembly. To the governor's speech today, I want to congratulate the governor for the rich document or the rich information that was able to be shared in this house today. And just looking at the health care, when I look at health care, I know health is the foundation of everything. And someone, learned a member here, talked about health, a healthy nation being a wealthy nation. And we see at this point that every life matters. And you know, when you're not healthy, or when you're healthy, you can wish anything. But when you're not healthy, your only wish is your health to get, or is your health back. And just looking at the state of our health centers, the state of our district hospitals or referral hospitals, I want to, you know, applaud the governor for actually speaking strongly and considering that, you know, this is where we need to put more effort in terms of funding to see that our hospitals are well equipped. We have the drugs, we have the equipment, you know, we have the water needed and all that. So I just want to, you know, congratulate the governor for, you know, making it a priority. And just also mentioning about the challenge of the elephant that's affecting most communities is the cancer. And when I see noted that the Kericho County is going to look into a cancer center, you know, that speaks to my heart, because we've lost our loved ones, we've lost our close families through cancer. And the worst part is when we're told it's at the level that cannot be treated. And I know where Kericho is heading to is a point whereby we can be able to detect or to be able to tell at the very early stages to be able to treat or save our people. So that noted. Also going to agriculture, most of the members have indicated that agriculture is actually the backbone of our economy. And so much has been said in terms of agriculture, and I think this is a holistic, we need to take a holistic approach when we talk on, you know, coming up with factories, you know, a flour mill, a sugarcane factory, you know, but there is so much into it that if we look into it as leaders and see the best way that we can actually see this as success. The past few days, the past few weeks, when you walk around, you see avocados on the roads. It tells you it's a season for avocados. But what is happening is that we don't even have like a linkage to our markets. People, you know, come maybe from Nairobi, they tell people bring your avocados to the roads, and you know, that tells you there is a gap. There is something that is not adding up, because if we want to promote our farmers, how are we promoting them? What value addition are we bringing into most of the produces that we have? I come from an area where we have pineapples, and we have a plant that hopefully we're looking into its completion. But again, I ask myself, if the factory is running today, do we have enough production? Will this factory run for 2 years with what we have, for example, in our farms? So I know it's a whole process, but if we look at you know, the very initial stages to ensuring that even our production will be consistent, I think will make a lot of sense.
as we look into agriculture and seeing our people earn an income from the agricultural sector. Just looking at the last bit on, there was a talk on education, I think on TVETs, and we have our TVETs across the sub-counties. And I look at this program of 3,000 scholarships being a very good initiative. Only that, if it's going to be sustainable. You know, when I see such a number, I ask myself where the funding is coming from. And is this something that, just like my learned friend talked about, Dr. Norman, that do we really have the funding for this? And is this something that once we've taken our students through, what's the aftermath of all this? I look at us being in a situation whereby we are becoming Larson. When we've trained our students, there is a way for them to be able to go out to the market. What are we doing as an assembly? What initiatives are we bringing in to be able to liaise with employers, to be able to link, you know, the graduates to the market out there for them to be able to deliver? And also, I see this program actually improving mostly in also the communities that, or the villages or the areas that the TVETs are in. When you look at our current technical institutions, they are underutilized. They have very few number of students, and that tells you even the market or the things that are, the activities in that area also is being underutilized. When we get the students out there, we foresee an area whereby it's going to be busier because the students will need rooms to rent, they'll need food, so there's going to be an economic, some additional economic activities in areas that we have our own TVETs, which is a plus to us as we look at the income generating activity in the area. Lastly, I want to just look at the unemployment part, which we're saying it's a major problem. And you know, when we look at unemployment, you start asking yourself, who is out there to employ our children? Right now we have so many graduates within our midst. They've done their degrees, they've done their diplomas, and they are telling you who is employing us out here. And you know, I was expecting to see in the speech also, you know, more strength on, you know, we're bringing in or we're getting or encouraging investors to actually come into Kericho County. You know, when I look at what is happening in other areas, look at what is happening in Nairobi, you know, Kambani areas, they've invested much in investors, where if we have an EPZ, for example, just one in Kericho, even dealing with, you know, cloth making, dress making, that can really employ a lot of youths, and it can listen up or, you know, reduce the level of unemployment within. You know, what are we looking at? Look at what is happening in Eldoret. We have the Rivertex companies. What is this that we're looking into as Kericho County? Because the only way for us to build our economy is to be able to have all these industries, you know, working around us. As much as we're saying we have the multinationals, we're fighting for the reduction of the mechanization. That is already a problem with us. But what is this that we're doing to solve it? I'm happy to see in a few days the committee that will address the multinational issue, because that's also a way for our youth to be able to get employment. Lastly, on the unemployment thing, I want to talk about, or just mention a little bit on maybe more, or looking into more of the Jua Kali sector. I know we have the MCA's team or the sector that have gone to some of our wards. They've tried to develop, they've tried to build some structures. They want to support the youth, they want to bring in the machinery. But to what extent are we actually capitalizing on the micro and small enterprises, so that we can also encourage our youth to be able to do most of this work and not just rely on the white collar jobs. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Anita. These honourable members from my watch, we have an approximately 34 minutes. And before we adjourn, So I want to, at this point, to give the Honourable Fancy. I given, and then the Honourable Martin will follow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir, for giving me this chance. So, before we continue, the date which we were given in our speech, the speech from the governor is Wednesday, 26th. Can we? It is 28. Today is 28 for the Hansard to be corrected. So, thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity. And I want to thank the Almighty God for giving us this chance to be here in this house. And I want also to thank the UDA party for giving us the chance to be in this house. And when you see Fancy nominated, you see the voice of the women of Kericho County. And I want to go back to the speech for the governor. It was very nice, it was good, and he really gave us a very nice speech, an elaborate speech. And he reminded us also that we are a house of legislators, oversight, and representation. And I want to thank you also for being elected as the third speaker of this house. And again, I will thank my family for the support they gave me until we are here. And Fancy represent Kericho County and Nyamira because I'm married there. So I represent the women of Kenya. I would also like to thank the team from Finlays and Ekaterra for really standing with me because I fight for the seat and I lost and we are here. So thank you so much for Kericho County for really giving us this chance. I want to say this, politics is very expensive, and as a speaker, you knew and you went for this and you really got it rough. So politics has ended. Now we are back to work. Let's come together and we work as a family, because I've said again and again, you are a father figure of this house. So let's unite this house and our work will be very easy. To what the governor told us today in this speech, I picked the affirmative action, and during your budgetary allocation, please, members, see that we give some allocation to the same so that we help the women and the youth and the PWDs in this county, and also to give us something to do as nominated members so that come next 2027, we are elected as members of county assembly. To my manifesto, we went round with my Honourable Mr. Korir seeking for votes, and we gave our manifesto. I myself, I gave that let's go down, sit with the multinational and agree on apportioning of the 40% machines and the 60% hand picking, so that our people will get something to do. And I embrace the round table, the talking, so that all of us will win. Because even in the multinational, they undergo a lot. We got to listen to them. We got to see the dynamics of a business, because even them, they are in a business. So please, we embrace the talk so that we reach into a consensus and we help our people and we help them too to continue with their business. Otherwise, I don't have much to say. Thank you so much. God bless you. and also to congratulate my fellow honorable members for being here. Thank you so much. We embrace one team and we'll work together to finish this 5-year term. Thank you so much. God bless you.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Fancy, the Honourable Martin, the member for Kapkugerwet Ward.
Thank you, Honourable Speaker. Allow me, Honourable Speaker, to congratulate you on your election as the third County Assembly Speaker, having gone through a very competitive election. So congratulations, Honourable Speaker. Congratulations also to honourable members, both elected and nominated. Allow me, Honourable Speaker, first to thank God for having also given me this chance to be here. It has not also been easy for me during all the time that I have fight for this seat of Kapkugerwet. But I'm here today, and I thank God. I've tried several times from 2013, and today I'm here. I'm privileged. Honourable Speaker, also allow me to thank my family for having stood with me for all that time up to now. They have really been beside me, and I'm really grateful to them, and also my friends, and all people who made it possible for me during my campaigns to be here today. I also want to thank the people of Kapkugerwet, the great people of Kapkugerwet, for giving me this opportunity. If not for them, I wouldn't be here. So thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to go straight to the governor's speech of today, and I want to say that I want to applaud our governor, His Excellency the Governor, for today's speech, having touched on many areas of development of our county. And first, I want to commend him for bringing the priority areas. First, on healthcare, which is a concern for most of us. We know that seriously health matters is one of the key areas where we dump our resources, where our resources goes. And I was very happy that today our governor made it a priority that he also has seen that we should make our collective input to this area so that we better the health care of our county. Of great concern, Honourable Speaker, is the unit of the oncology, where our governor mentioned, apart from the other areas of the unit areas of the health. I was very happy to hear he mentioned about the oncology unit, which he said is going to make it a priority that the space that was done or used for the COVID be converted to assist and to be used for the unit of the oncology. because it really pains. It really pains. I know most of the families have been affected by this monster cancer, and it is in prayer and wishes of most people that a facility that is functional in health matters and priority areas like cancer be made available and affordable for our residents. I'm very happy because I know us as honorable members, this House, from the legislature and the executive, we are going to come together and we pull together, we make this a priority. I know we are going to better the health and we make it affordable for the people of Kericho County. This morning I had an opportunity to visit one of the families in my area, to condole with them because they are bereaved. And also their concern, Honorable Speaker, is matters of health. And it's actually very timely that today, having heard from our governor, the speech, it really gives us hope that in the near future, as we go along, we are going to make our facilities functional in matters of health. I want to put it like this, that we'll support the governor and any initiative that is going to make our health sector affordable and make it that the drugs that are procured reach the intended people. I know there are so many ways of, there are privileges where we can have ways of curbing them so that there are no drugs that can be taken elsewhere from our stores in the health facilities. I know with this capable House of Honourable Members and the executive, we'll stand together and put a collective measure so that our people whom we represent here enjoys the services of good health, and not also make them also suffer because of maybe laxity from any quarters, but we make them benefit from the good services because they are taxpayers and they require to be the good services from us. I'm also happy because of today's governor's speech pertaining matters of agriculture, and one concern that I'm also raising, and also the governor also, His Excellency the governor touched, is the key area of value addition. We may want to encourage farmers to put their inputs in the farms, but I want to also make a contribution that it will be prudent for us to assist and avail ways of making them earn more by bringing this or putting across this sectors or units of value addition. At times we may want to encourage our farmers to go to the farms, but what is paining them more I also being one of the farmers, is the return of the input. But I'm happy because of the speech of the governor today that has touched, Honourable Speaker, the issue of value addition in the farm produce. That one will come a long way in making something gainful for our farmers that will make them also go back and get something for their families. Also, I want to mention something about education, which the governor also mentioned. I want to mention something about the ECD's teachers. I'm happy because of our governor, His Excellency the Governor, that is, he made this commitment that the ECD teachers be remunerated well and also be confirmed in their appointment so that they also can enjoy their terms of service like other civil servants. It's been long for them, I know, and most of them have come up to speak, requesting that they be put in permanent and pensionable terms. I come from Kapugurwet, where most of them, recently they called me somewhere and told me, Mheshimiwa, we are requesting, when you have that space, kindly forward our grievances. And today, I'm happy because it has come out through our Excellency the Governor in his speech that is also committed to education and specifically for these ECD teachers. In TFETs and the scholarship for the 3,000 students, this one also will assist greatly in terms of capping unemployment. I know at the end of the day, when these students have gotten skills and other trainings, it will be easier for us. We make them, or we work towards creating spaces for them so that they can find fields where they can apply their skills. I'm happy because out of these 3,000, every year or every financial year, at the end of the day, the 3,000 will have multiplied and gotten and feed a larger numbers, because I know they come from families. Some of them could be having families, or some of them could be dependents in their families. But I know with the skills that they'll be given through these scholarships, we'll have bettered the lives of many of them, and by extension, even to the families where they come from. In matters of agriculture, Honourable Speaker, there is something that I wanted to yes, I wanted also to touch on the issue of mama bogas and border people. I myself come from a ward that is an urban ward, that is Kapugurwet, and I make a lot of interactions with Mama Bogas, Honourable Speaker, and Boda people. I'm happy because Our Excellency the Governor mentioned of the Mama Bogas empowerment and Boda people of the sheikhs, and something of empowerment that is aligned to the bottom-up economic model from the national government. I'm sure if we are going to dedicate and make these people more productive in their engagement, I know we'll build a strong economic county by making them more productive, enabling them or empowering them to do their work efficiently. I'm happy because there is commitment from our executive and also from us honorable members concerning these people and other informal sectors like Chuakali and the rest. I know once we come together, like for example, Honourable Speaker, as we've heard from our honourable members, that we are going to be committed, we are going to be one united county assembly. We are going to make this our people and make our county great by providing environment that is ripe for our people, for their businesses, and for other gainful engagements that they are going to do in our county. Honourable Speaker, for those few submissions, I want to say thank you, and God bless all of you. Thank you so much. Thank you, Honourable Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honourable Martin. Looking at our time, I want to give one honourable member, and then to just take like 5 minutes, and then we will adjourn. The Honourable no honourable member is ready. The Honourable Vincent for Litay to come and make his maiden speech and make a comment on the Governor's address. Welcome, the Honourable member.
Asante sana Bwana Spika. Wacha nichukue nafasi hii kushukuru Mwenyezi Mungu kwa kunipa nafasi hii. Nataka vile nishukuru wananchi wa Litei kwa kunipa nafasi kuwaongoza na kuwatetea katika hili bunge la Kericho. Sina maneno mengi kwa sababu ya masaa ambayo imeenda. Mimi tu nataka nitaje vitu vichache tu ambaye gavana wangu ameongea. Kwa wale wajui, gavana na mimi tunashare kitu moja. Yeye alinipigia kura na mimi vile nilimpigia kura. Na kuna yale mambo ambaye alikuwa amesema huko kwamba atafanyia watu wa Kericho na atanifanyia pia mimi nikiwa mpiga kura wake. Vile yeye pia nilimwomba kura, nikamwambia vile ndamfanyia mambo kadhaa ambaye katika ile hotuba yake alisema na alitaja. Kuhusu hospitali, nilifurahi kwamba kuna baadhi ya hospitali ambao atapiga cheki kidogo na kando na kupiga cheki mahospitali hizo, kuna lile mambo tena ambayo inahusu wafanyakazi wa mahospitali. Jana nikiwa katika mazishi fulani, kuna mtu alikuwa analalamika kwamba alikuwa katika hospitali ya Kapkatet na mgonjwa, na walipokuwa huko ndani kuna mtu mmoja ambaye ni mfanyakazi kama anafanya kama nurse. Yeye ile wakati mgonjwa alikuwa anaumia katika kitanda chake, yeye alikuwa katika harakati ya kuangalia Facebook, na ilikuwa inaniudhi sana, na tukasema kwamba tutakuwa tunatembelea hospitali zetu tuangalie vile madaktari wanafanya, iwe ni usiku ama mchana. So sisi kama county government wa Kericho, tukiwatetea tena kuunda mahospitali, tungependa vile vile wafanya kazi watie bidii, wafanye ile kazi ambao iliwapeleka huko. Governor alitaja mambo mengi kuhusu vijana na kuajiriwa kwa kazi. Mimi vile kama Mheshimiwa Martin ambaye tena wadi yake inakuza town ya Kericho, mimi vile vile nilipigiwa kura na watu wa town ya Litein, na mimi ndio na wakilisha town ya Litein. Governor hakuguzia, lakini town ya Litein haijapangwa vile kwa kiwango ambacho itasaidia wananchi wa huku. Na ningependa governor akuzie tena wakati mwingine kupangwa kwa matauni zetu, ili wanabiashara na jamii zetu wa huko Litein wapate mahali pazuri pa kufanya biashara. Town kama ile ya Litein iko chafu. Mimi nikiomba kura niliwaambia kwamba nitakuja kusafisha town vizuri, na wanangojea hiyo. Msipofanya hivyo, Mheshimiwa Speaker, mimi najua sina kitu ya kuambia wakaaji wa Litein. So hatuna budi kusafisha town zetu Kericho, Litein na zile zingine. Kuna kitu kingine tena ambayo sisi kama wakaaji wa Kericho County, mimi singelitaja maneno ya maji kule mahali ambayo unatoka, mimi singepata kura. So najua wananchi wa Litein wanangojea maji, na najua tutafanya vile governor amesema. Maji itapelekwa kila mahali pa kaunti yetu. Sehemu ya Litein wanangojea maji kama kesho. Tusipowapea maji, mimi najua kwamba 2027 mimi sitaingia bunge hili kama maji haitakuwa huko, na hatuna budi kuwapea maji wakaaji wa Litein na maeneo mengine wa Kericho County. Kuhusu ile Hustler Fund ambayo gavana wetu aliongelea na iko katika manifesto ile yetu ya Kenya Kwanza, wananchi wanangojea sana, na ningeambia kwamba ile wakati ambao budget itafanywa iwekwe, ndio wakati wanabiashara wa Litein na vijana ambaye hawana ajira watatumia. So hayo ndio maneno mengi ambayo wananchi wa Litein wanatarajia, na ni maombi letu kwamba zile maneno zilikuwa kwa hotuba ya governor siwekwe kwa makini na sitimizwe. Ama sio hivyo, hatuna kitu ya kusema tukienda mbele ya wananchi. So ya mwisho nataka kupongeza Bwana Speaker kwa kupigiwa kura mengi, na ni ombi letu tena bado kwamba tuunganishe wale wote waliokupigia kura na wale waliokuwa wanafikiria kukupigia kura na wale walikuombea upate kura. Utushikishe wote tukue kitu kimoja, ndio tuendeleze hii kaunti yetu ya Kericho iende mbele kwa furaha. Otherwise, kwa waheshimiwa wenzangu ambao walikuja walifuatiwa, nataka kuwapa heko na kuwapa shukrani, na tukae pamoja tufanye kazi ambayo raia walituleta tufanye katika hili bunge la Kericho. Asante.
Thank you very much, the Honourable Vincent, the member for Litei. As you sit down, I want to assure you that your prayers have been heard, and we are one assembly, and I will strive to unite the assembly accordingly. Honourable members, looking at the time, I think we've got no option but to adjourn this session until the next session of Tuesday, and the order will still be the motion by the Honourable, moved by the Honourable member for Inamoi, the Honourable Cheruiyot Bett, and seconded by Philip Rono. That is the motion. The thanks of the Assembly be recorded for exposition of public policy contained in the address by His Excellency the Governor. I therefore adjourn this session until 4th October 2022 at 9:30 a.m.